Welcome to the Opportunity Knocks podcast by Empower Purpose, hosted by me, Michelle Valenzuela Wolf. Every week, we feature different extraordinary female entrepreneurs in the business and wellness segments on just that, opportunities. These segments deep dive into how these courageous women transition into their purpose. We want to give you permission to discover, pursue, and achieve your goals. We learn and reaffirm that life is never linear. It's how we as women choose to take, make, create, and evaluate opportunities. Remember, it's all gonna be okay. Thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. This is a long time coming to have this
Yes.
podcast. And I am so excited that you're here because it feels what the cool thing is always with my podcast. It's like hanging out with a good friend, but like I am good friends with you. So it's not a lie. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know. Well, we've been hanging out for years.
Exactly. So we'll just
Totally.
continue to hang out for about 30 to 40 minutes right here, right now.
Sounds wonderful. Great.
Exactly. So your practice and your business has been sort of transitioning into different things. Or I'd
Yes.
say that certain areas are becoming more magnified for you than others. But what I'd love for you to do is just first kind of take people through like, who's Dr. Christina Tracy Stein? And you kind of grew up in the whole personal growth space because of your dad, which is awesome.
Yes.
But and I'm sure it was awesome and also hard, by the way, being around somebody who that's what they do for a living, right?
It's a high bar and it's a different perspective for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start first with like, who are you and what are you doing now? And because I've known you through a few different transitions, and I'm super excited about like where you're going right now with your career and your profession.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm also very excited about where I'm going. Yeah, so I guess in a nutshell, I grew up with Brian Tracy as a father, and he
And who is
was
Brian Tracy?
no, it was Brian Tracy. Well, Brian Tracy is one of the pioneers in the positive psychology movement up there with, Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and Stephen Covey and all those guys who literally used to barbecue in our backyard when I was a kid.
And notice you say guys. Notice you say guys.
Oh yeah.
Because there
Yes,
were no
I'm
girls.
so aware of
Amen.
this. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. But I grew up in this space of like mindset and psychology and I was a very sensitive kid, very empathic, very sensitive. And in my house, there was a lot of intellectualizing of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided I wanted to be a psychologist and I actually wanted to focus on kids for a period of time, which that changed.
I can
But
understand why you're
yeah,
three.
but I really, I wanted to figure out like the importance of like authentic connection and empathy and feelings. And so I went to school and I got my degree in psychology and my master's in clinical psychology and became a marriage and family therapist. Then I had a baby and was like, what the hell just happened to my
Just rocked your world.
sexuality and desire and relationship and made it a kind of a quest to figure out what the hell was going on with desire. And since I wasn't alone and we were all sort of suffering in silence at the time, you
I
know,
think a lot of women are still suffering in silence.
I think a lot of women are still suffering in silence, which is, I think there's so much shame in like wanting to want and not wanting, or just like feeling guilty about not being able to show up or,
Sort of the
just
polarities, by the way. Like it's like some people want to show up, some people don't want to show up. Some people don't want to show up with their partner. Some people and asking for that even, right? That it
yeah.
here we go, open communication. I just got off
Okay.
a call. We were talking about this. So yeah, there's not a lot of room for open communication in that way that women are taking charge of, I would say, right?
Well, and there's no language. Like I feel like now I have a PhD in human sexuality. I've been in practice for 20 years. Like I have a lot of conversations around this, and it's amazing how we don't have language to talk about pleasure, to talk about what we want and don't want, to even like handle our partner's egos without causing a fight. So it's
Mhm.
almost like, all right, I'll just disappear and go along with something that's not fully satisfying because it's easier than fighting.
So
Um,
interesting.
it's just, yeah. And
I think
so,
also like dependent on the length of time that you've been in your relationship, what happens is that there's unwritten contracts, right? Like so people just
totally.
kind of go along with whatever. And they're, again, like they've grown, but they're afraid to say anything. And that happens on both sides, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, again, there's like they're afraid to say something, but it's not easy to say anything because of the lack of language and just normalizing it. And relationships start to fade apart or they disconnect and there's it's harder to heal. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think for
What do you
me,
do in
yeah.
that case? Just curious. Like, what's your suggestion to a client in that situation to use their voice? Like, because most of them are like afraid to use their voice, right?
One of my favorite things to tell people to do is to start like asking questions of their partner. Like,
Mm.
how do you feel about our sex life? How do you feel about our intimacy? Are you happy? Is there anything we could do differently? Because it's not as threatening to ask questions. It
Mm.
feels like you're not as vulnerable. So it's kind of an easy first step. And then hopefully the partner can say, "Oh, I'm good," or "I'd like to try this," or you give them permission to sort of own up to maybe what's
Love
not
that word permission.
working. Yes.
Hmm.
And then hopefully your partner asks you, and now there's an open dialogue around maybe we could tweak something. Maybe we could, maybe we haven't had sex in 3 months and we've both been thinking, gosh, why is that the case? But nobody wants to say anything. And now we're talking about it,
I love where simple tools like asking questions
right?
become so powerful, right? And that happens obviously in therapy and coaching. But it's amazing to think about this related to pleasure, right? Where you're right, it is so taboo. It's like it's like shopping for a dress, right? Like if you're shopping for a dress for a friend, you don't know necessarily like what that friend wants, but you would only know by asking questions.
Exactly.
But yeah, we just assume that you're supposed to know.
Yes. So like another tool then that I often tell my clients is if they're uncomfortable talking about what they want or don't want in the bedroom, to like create a menu.
Mm,
Sort of like what does a warm up look like? What is an appetizer for you? Like what helps you get more in the mood? Like is it a glass of wine or a bath or a shower or a walk or music or what helps you kind of be more receptive to connecting and intimacy? And then what is a first course and like what kind of foreplay is that and what would you enjoy doing, like what's not on the menu, right? So what are you
yeah.
not into, and then so on and so on, so you can actually say like, hey, I'm today I really feel like a salad but I'm not really up for a steak.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's hysterical. I love that. That's so
Yeah,
funny. So,
so
but
yeah,
like, when we're talking about this, I think to myself, like, beyond pleasure, it feels like it starts with basic communication.
definitely,
And do
yes.
you find like that in general that plays just such a big role as a whole part? Because, like obviously you're such a seasoned therapist, like you went from traditional therapy, right, or positive psychology, because I know you always look at things from that lens, you know, into, sexuality, right? And, or do you call yourself a sex therapist? I'm not really sure. I mean, you're different now. I mean, you're always different,
Yeah,
but
I'm always different. I mean, yes, my like legitimate title is a sexologist, but I feel like that's kind of like a mixologist. So yeah, sex therapist, relationship communication, those are sort of my
yeah,
expertise. Yeah,
yeah,
for
okay.
sure.
So it's like when we think about like, basic communication, how are people going to be intimate with it's intimacy, right? So the intimacy is trust, right?
Totally. Yes.
And trust is formed by what?
Vulnerability and
Okay.
safety.
Okay. So I think safety is a really great concept because I've been
Yeah.
actually like, first of all, it's the number one thing women crave, right?
Yep.
And women sometimes think they just want financial safety, say, for example, but it's actually so much bigger than just financial safety. And I know that
Yes.
many people in my community are challenged with this, right? So how do you create safety? Through trust, right? Through
And through
vulnerability, through
to
connection, through contact.
yeah, yeah. And what you do is you have to spend time together. I mean, part of the reason why people don't feel safe and they can't feel vulnerable and there's a lack of trust is that missing piece of like spending time cultivating your connection, like your friendship, your partnership, whatever it looks like, and giving another person undivided attention. I mean, literally, if there's one thing you can do to transform any relationship, it's commit to spending regular periods of time with someone and giving them undivided attention. And suddenly you're like fortifying the security in the relationship. You're making room for trust and vulnerability. You're creating a predictable connection. I mean, it's a very simple thing if you can commit to it, but people have such a hard time with these regular like dates or meetings or just moments.
Well, I have to say, I'm blessed enough or privy enough that I observe your day-to-day life. Our daughters are great friends.
Yes.
So grateful for your family and for our friendship. Um, and by the way, side note, like people basically told both of us that we needed to meet each other
Yes, they did.
a few years before we actually met each other. Like, you need to
Totally.
know Michelle Wolf. You
Yeah.
need to know Christina Stein. And so when we did finally meet, it was like a marriage. We like started connecting and dating like right away.
Yes, totally. It was like fireworks.
Exactly. Oh, baby, you're a firework. I'm so glad that I provided that for you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Me
Um,
too.
so speaking of fireworks and related to sex, right?
Yes. Yes.
How do you feel like, how does that happen, right? Because some women go their entire life with never having one orgasm, and that would be really sad. But but it happens. And some people, like I had this conversation the other day with this client, and she was like, I have to have like orgasms like 4 times a day. I was like, wow, how old are you? That's amazing. That is
Um,
amazing.
yes.
She said
Yes.
it used to be 6.
Well, that's that hormones are incredibly influential in all of that and your anatomy and how easy it is to have an orgasm. So definitely fabulous. What do I say to people who have never had an orgasm? How did they get there?
Do you think that starts with self-pleasure?
I think it definitely starts with self-pleasure. I think, look, you don't make yourself have an orgasm, you let yourself have an orgasm. And so if you're of the mindset where you're like, I've got to have an orgasm, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to do this, okay, it's going to happen, like you're forcing something, and the more you force it, the less likely it is to happen. And
Yeah.
I think that women especially have to learn how to let their bodies receive and let go and have the orgasm. And so self-pleasure is a really great way to do it because you aren't having to manage another person. You're not feeling self-conscious. You are in complete control, so you can let go of control
Mhm.
and just get to know how your body works. Like you can't necessarily give feedback to a partner if you don't know how your body works. So starting with yourself is a great way to set yourself up for success with another person because you can at least guide them in some way.
So here's a question for you. So women of my generation, because I'm just slightly older than you, I feel we're not born with going back to or we're not sort of raised under the conditions of giving yourself permission always, right? So I feel
Totally.
like it happened like later in life for them. So talk to me a little bit about like where you would start a self-pleasure practice besides going and buying yourself a vibrator, but like it's so much deeper than that because a lot of people will tell you to not buy a vibrator first.
I would be one of those people that would say don't buy a vibrator first.
I agree.
Just because, like bodies don't vibrate. So if you're learning how to experience pleasure and orgasm, learning with something that's not human is going to set you up to have issues with another human. And so it's good to just start with yourself. How do you start? Look, some women have a really hard time giving themselves time, like in the middle of the day, being like, I'm going to give myself an hour to sit and have a cup of tea. Like,
Mhm.
I
Totally.
think that and especially ambitious women, professional women, like women who are juggling things, it's like there is this feeling that anything for us self-care, massage, whatever it is indulgent, and that there's like it's hard to give ourselves that care.
Hmm.
It's easy to take care of everybody else around you, and then you're last on the list, and then there you might run out of time. So self-pleasure is something that I think is one of those things that's hard to schedule, and it's not, you can't say at 3 o'clock I'm gonna have a
Going to
session
the
with
bedroom.
myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, it sort of has to be something
Block
that
out my calendar.
that,
Although I'm surprised that you wouldn't because, your calendar is so blocked.
I am so scheduled. Well, I'm very efficient with my time. Thank you.
You're like, I don't need a half hour to an hour. No, I'm just kidding.
8 minutes, go. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but I think that it's like space, like time and space, both psychically and physically, is really the only way that there's room for it. Because you don't, if you've got like kids knocking on the door, a partner in the room, or, it's just like there just isn't that quiet moment is really when it can happen. So I would say finding quiet moments where you can just be with yourself and not feel pressure because of time or tasks or
And making it a
people,
priority, right?
and making it a priority. Yeah, I mean, look, I would say that if it's a goal, like if you want to experience more pleasure in your body, then with anything, you have to make it a priority, right? Like what you care about, you invest in.
Well,
So
and
if you care
also
about it,
experiencing more pleasure in your body is actually about alignment, right? So you actually, if one area of your body is blocked, then all your entire body can be blocked. So we actually have to bring energy, speaking of psychic, right? Like bring energy to different when I'm just talking about energy, right? So you have to bring energy to different parts of your body so that it's not stagnant, right?
yes, yes. I mean, look, the truth is, when I first was frustrated about my own sexual desire after having a kid, I felt so like flat energetically and like depressed and disconnected. It was like not just about pleasure, it was a source of creativity and vitality. And I
Absolutely. And it
find,
is.
and it is. And I
The
think
root
that,
chakra is that. Yeah.
well, yeah, and I find that like when we think of our sexuality and our sexual vitality as a source of pleasure, then it's one of those things that's optional. But when you think
Yes.
of it in terms of your
Scientific.
power,
Yes.
your sexual, your vitality, like
It
your
is your
life,
vitality. Yes.
yeah, like your life force, your
Prana. Yeah.
creativity, your confidence, like so much, like you just experience so much when you are letting that flow, even if you're not doing anything with the energy, but if you're like connected to it, it's
I
your powerhouse.
cannot agree with you more. So speaking of the year of the horse,
Oh yeah.
and it is your power horse. And I think that a lot of women will say things like, well, I don't need to have sex because I'm old and I don't feel like having sex anymore. And I don't
Totally.
want to pleasure my husband and whatever it is, right? So then they just block that part of their body off,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
is blocking off life force, right?
Yeah.
So my question for you is, here we are, or I am, and you are kind of in my 50s. And so many women are in menopause. And
Hmm.
as you said earlier, hormones impact our desires
Yes.
and our motivation and so much more and vitality. So, how do you handle that? Like, how do you help women in their 50s continue to have an active sex drive because men are actually very active in their 50s.
Yeah, I mean, look, it has a lot to do with energy. Again, going back to energy, like I think that we need to take care of our bodies. We need to sleep. We need to eat the right foods. We need to exercise. We need to feel good in our body. And I think that it's like an integration of all of those things.
Hmm.
But I do think it's like women's sexuality so much has to do with mind and body. So
Totally.
your body has to be rested and strong and energized, but your mind also has to be, open and
Receptive.
prioritizing and receptive. And you have to have confidence. Like if you feel bad about yourself, that is going to drain your desire
I
immediately.
agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I love what you're saying about like heart mind connection, essentially, is that, often people are leading with their head, right? And not with their heart. They're not feeling into their body and what there's no receptivity then, right? You
Totally.
can't be open
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
receiving when you're not in your body or in your heart, right? Or in your root chakra, right? So then my question for you is like you've made this like huge shift now,
Yeah.
huge-ish, and you're doing a lot more public speaking.
Uh-huh.
You've just written a book called The Accomplished Woman.
Yes.
And you are actually gifting that book to all the participants of the event, which I'm super excited about.
Me too.
And yeah, and I just think, first of all, the subject matter of what you talk about and how it leads to a whole woman is super important. So, can you tell me a little bit about like the book and how you made this transition and why, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, totally. So the book is The Accomplished Woman: 12 Steps to Redefine Success and Live Life on Your Terms. And I wrote this book because I, have grown up. My father's 82 and it's a man's world. And I heard a lot growing up that like success, money, 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 success, title, title, title. And there was just this like path of success that did not incorporate motherhood and being a wife and balance. And so at a certain point, I started seeing a lot of women who I think are incredible, who devalue themselves and they don't give themselves credit because there is no paycheck or there is no title,
Absolutely.
but there's so much accomplishment around. And I wanted to create something that would help women define for themselves what it means to be accomplished or just name, the value that was being provided to say, oh, wow, actually, this does have value and I am an accomplished woman
That's
and my life is meaningful in a different way. And so that's why I wrote the book and it's very proactive. I'm all about the exercises. So it's learning and doing. It's not just a fluff piece of,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, no, if I'm going to spend time doing something, I want to be able to like take action afterwards. And so
Yeah.
that is the thought of it. But
I
also,
think like once there's a self-awareness around it, speaking of embodiment, you can actually like actualize it. And so a lot of times when things are just again in your head and you read it, it's like you're not experiencing it because you're not putting it into play. And
right,
so that's why your worksheets are really important, is because that allows you to kind of take it to that next step, right?
totally. Yes, I'm actually in the process of finishing up the Accomplished Woman extended guide. So it's going to be published as well. And then you'll have the tool with you when you need it.
Nice. I love that.
But I do talk about body and health and energy and stress and sexuality as a part of what creates an accomplished woman and what is holistic for success. Because I think I learned that, and I feel like we're in a world today now where women are really stepping up and pursuing their ambitions internationally, right? I speak all over the world, and so it's just there's this movement of women wanting to pursue their dreams. And I really think it's important that we don't underestimate the importance of our sexual vitality as a part of that and the quality of our relationships as a part of that.
And I
And
think
so
also like that incorporates the femininity too, right?
totally,
So
yes.
like I think
Yes.
part of what women think of when they think of a word like accomplished or success, it sounds masculine and they think like strength and pushing and forcing and whatever, like goal oriented, blah, blah, blah. And I think that what you're saying is that, and I see this in the way that you live, is that bringing in the femininity, the receiving, the softness, the ability to assess, and the vulnerability is actually a superpower and a gift for people.
Yes, definitely. I think that women have been thinking they have to step into the masculine to be taken seriously. And in truth, women have the incredible ability to achieve and to lead from a feminine place that is collaborative and creative and intuitive and just as powerful as a full-on masculine approach. It's very different. And I think that we need more of it
I
because
agree.
we get so many, I mean, the creative, intuitive insights from women and the community and collaboration that is so embraced by female leaders is awesome. And we just need more of it. And the
Yeah,
men, look, the men support, there are many men who support us, who support women. So,
absolutely. And
but
also,
yeah,
actually, I think that a lot of men are trying to become more aligned in the way of embracing more of their femininity, to be honest with you. So
yes, yes.
I definitely think we've seen that on the rise. And I think, like, when you look at the statistic, like, you know, that like 30% of women in the global workforce, or 30% of people in the global workforce are women, right? So that number just keeps rising. And in the US, it's higher.
Yeah.
So I think like we have to become more and more aware of how we're showing up, right? And also how we can effectively be better leaders, right? And that doesn't happen through the pushing, right? It happens actually through the listening. That's amazing. So, like, I feel like you also have started to do a lot of global speaking engagements.
Yeah. Yep.
I know that's something that we're both enjoying. And I feel like it's something that you're seeing more and more of yourself take stage at different places. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Look, I watched my father growing up as a speaker. He has a legacy around the world. The personal and professional development is something that people are hungry for. And I feel like I am embracing sort of a foundation that he laid, but also adding my own female relationship communication perspective to it. And so it's been really cool traveling to different countries and speaking on this similar topics, but like people are really embracing, especially with AI and where we're headed, right? Human connection, interpersonal relationships, trust. These are all things that people want to develop and to embrace because that is really what's going to be important in the future is can you earn somebody's trust? Because we're going to start to become a lot more skeptical as we're dealing with machines versus people. And so people skills,
We need human to
huge.
human skills
We
more
need human to
now than
human
ever.
skills.
Yeah.
Yes. And
And
so
people,
that's
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, go for it. Yeah.
No, no, no. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the things that is becoming more top of mind. And as you said, like the people in the personal growth industry just keeps growing, right? So the wellness space is a $5 trillion business, right? So it's
Yeah.
like that's only going to continue to grow, by the way, as we continue to have more machines, because you're
Yeah.
losing the human connection and component,
100%.
which
Yeah.
is only going to
So
serve you because you'll have more people to serve.
exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I love teaching. I think at my core, I'm just a natural teacher. And it's anytime I've learned something, I'm just so excited to teach it to other people. And so any opportunity to speak or to teach or to do workshops or to just empower people with knowledge and skills makes me really happy.
So one of the things you talked about is that you're helping your father continue to lead the charge of his legacy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And through a different lens. But
Yeah.
what would you say the legacy is that you're trying to leave? What's the footprint that you want? I know you like to help people. I know that you like to teach, but as we kind of continue to go into this arena, and now you're having this workbook, what is the legacy that Christina wants to leave behind?
I want to teach people how to live authentically, how to know themselves, how to clearly express themselves, and how to genuinely connect with others so that they can experience unconditional love. To
Hmm.
me, it's about love. It's about that we need each other, that our relationships are the most important things we have. And I think relationship skills are just so valuable. And I love love. I think, I started out in this field because I want couples to feel deeply connected to each other despite not knowing how to talk about certain things. And so just it's not about money because who cares if you have $10 trillion dollars and you're all by yourself? It is 100% about the people who are with you. And the people are not going to be with you if you are not cultivating those connections and you are valuing those relationships. And I want to teach people how to value themselves and their relationship with themselves so that they can truly show up in a meaningful, passionate, loving relationship with someone else.
I love that. See, this is the reason why I have you on the panel.
Fabulous. Okay.
Well, because I feel like, the thing about wellness and being whole, right? So what we're trying to do is stop the fragmentation process about what it is to be whole, right? What it is to
Yeah.
be well. And stop the individual conversations. And the thing is that you're right, it starts with love
It's love.
and it starts with
Totally.
connection,
Yep.
that love of self, right?
Yep.
So many people lack the inherent love for their own self, right? They
Yeah.
give to everyone else and they think that love is about earning people. It's not about that. It's
No.
about it starts here, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's about being okay with every part of yourself, right? None of us are perfect. And
I'm not.
so we are so we are each lovable in our own way, and we all have quirks and imperfections, and that's what makes us who we are, right? That's probably the most lovable part about us is that annoying quirk that we have. But once we accept ourselves with all of that,
Mhm.
then we can accept others for their imperfections, and then we can truly connect.
Mm. Yeah, and that's where that vulnerability comes back in again,
Yeah, it's authenticity,
Absolutely
vulnerability and authenticity. Yeah.
hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you're saying. And we could talk, of course, forever. But I'm going to ask you our last question, which is what are your top 5 core values and how do you use them in your day-to-day life?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Spontaneous top core, integrity,
Mhm.
family, authenticity, service,
Love.
love,
That's 5.
and growth. Is it? Okay. Well, then I'll
Got it.
add
Learning
growth.
and growth. I'll let you
Never
throw that
ending
one in there.
growth, lifelong learning and growth.
Okay, I
Yes.
love
And how
that.
do I use it in my everyday life? I literally am learning every day or finding ways to serve others or creating products or content or whatever it is because I'm so excited to serve. I start my day with routines with each of my family members. I check in with them. They are my home base to make sure my kids are okay, that my husband is good, and then they go off into the world and we do our things and we come back together and it's the same kind of thing. They are 100% my priority. So they kind of are at the center of my world, and then everything else can be built around it.
The hurricanes all around it.
The hurricane, yeah,
They're the
exactly.
nucleus. And then
They're
there's
the nucleus.
lots of, it's like Saturn.
Yeah,
There's lots of little.
totally. With dogs showing up periodically here and there. Yeah,
It's so true.
exactly.
It's so
Yes. And,
true.
and I just, I think I aim every day to be honest and have integrity and be authentic and practice what I preach.
I totally see that about you. So, before I ask people, before I ask you to tell people where they could reach you, if someone can't make the March 21st gathering for Soul
Yes.
Full, right? Because we
Yes.
want
Yes.
you to be whole in your soul. That's the whole
Ooh,
thing.
I like that. Hole in your
Yeah,
soul.
whole in
Okay.
your soul. I just presented my whole model.
Okay.
So
Fabulous.
mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. That's right. You're the emotional part of it, amongst other things.
Fabulous.
And
Okay.
so, what would you want to tell people if they can't make it to the summit that you want to leave them with?
I would want you to just maybe give yourself a gift of spending time and figuring out what you like about yourself, what makes you a special person, what makes you valuable to others. And if this is a hard question for you, I would say, what would your best friend say about you, or what would your partner say about you if you were asking them all of your top qualities and why you're important and how you contribute to the world around you? And just start with acknowledging that for yourself and thinking about that when you go out into the world and when you smile at people and people smile back at you, that like you are bringing something to this world, and the more you know it, the more you can be proud of it and the more you can be excited to share it. So
I agree with you.
figure out what it is and honor it and appreciate it and celebrate it.
Love it. Okay, beautiful. So, tell me, where can people reach you?
Wow, you can reach me on socials. Basically, Dr. Christina Tracy Stein. So Instagram is at Dr. Christina Tracy Stein. Facebook is Dr. Christina Tracy Stein. And my website is also
Dr. Christina
Dr.
Tracy
Christina
Stein.
Tracy Stein. So I'm easy to find, or you can
I
get
love
The
that.
Accomplished Woman on Amazon.
Absolutely. We should be getting The Accomplished Women on Amazon. But since you'll all be attending the Soul
Yes.
Gathering event on March 21st and meeting
Yes.
Christina in person, then you
Yes.
could get your book there for free too.
Because if not, you have to buy it on Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, you could support her livelihood. She would appreciate it.
Yes. Anyway, I'd love to connect. Yes, I'm definitely, on the socials and constantly putting out content. So
Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. I
thank
really
you for
a
having
wealth
me.
of knowledge. Of course. Well, finally happened.
I know. Geez,
This is
good.
a true testament to just keep asking and you shall receive.
Yes. Just keep pushing. Yep.
No pushing, only receiving.
No, only receiving. Totally
Okay.
fine.
I love you.
Fireworks. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks. Mwah.
Firework. This baby, you're a firework. It's like me. I could be Scarlett and you could be Cece.
There we go. Yeah, actually.
Kinda. Okay, bye.
Awesome. All right. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today on the Opportunity Knocks podcast by Empower Purpose and me, Michelle Valenzuela Wolf. If opportunity is knocking at your door, feel free to take inspiration from the journeys of our diverse female entrepreneurs. Their tips and transparency are all available on the Opportunity Knocks podcast. Thank you for your support and subscribe now.